Welcome back to another special edition of Wedding Workouts. We're checking out now the runners for the 2014 Singapore Airlines International Cup, their track work from Thursday morning. Sea Sage Larry, he did enough work on Thursday morning, but to talk us through the track work, the assistant trainer Chris Vienna spoke to a very busy Craig Evans outside of the media room today.
Chris Seasage, how's he done during the week?
He's been very comfortable here. It took him a couple days to adapt, but he's been here for over a week now, and he's training well as we could hope.
We haven't had a USA horse for some time in Singapore. It's a long trip over, isn't it?
Yeah, it was about 25 hours in the air, 40 hours altogether for him to get here. But he handled it well. He's a pretty cool horse.
He's looked nice and relaxed, and you gave him a serious piece of work there on Wednesday morning?
Yes, he finished up real well. I don't know how fast he went all in all. Very happy with the way he worked, the way he finished, the way he came back. He had great energy this morning, so obviously we didn't do too much.
Obviously his form in France was fairly good, and then you've had him in the US. He hasn't won a race, but he looked a bit unlucky in a couple of those replays.
Yeah, we didn't have him long before his first three starts, and he ran back 3 times in 5 weeks, so I think it's fair to discount his first couple of starts. His last start there was, I think, his worst start at Santa Anita, but he never really had an opportunity to run. He had quite a bit of trouble in the mile race, the 3-year-old race. He got taken out, lost his hind end, turned in for home. I think he would have been right there. That was the day David rode him. And I think it's a pretty quality horse that beat him in the mile and a quarter race.
This sort of track here in Singapore, it's relatively tight, only 1,800 metres around. Do you envisage trying to go forward on him?
It looks like there's some horses that could be there. I mean, if nobody goes, we could. He's not going to be too far off the pace, though, I wouldn't think.
Okay, so the final word, we're on Thursday morning now. Is pretty well everything done before the weekend?
Yeah, he'll just lope into the race. Nice, easy canter every day. Try and keep him as happy as possible. Let him do what he wants to do as long as he's happy.
I think that's pretty useful information from Chris Vienna about Sea Sage. Before we quickly move on to Dan Excel, Larry, what do you think of the American Raider?
Yeah, I had a chat to Chris and his father, Daryl, the trainer, this morning, and they're pretty realistic people. They know they've got to improve 5-6 lengths from this international field. They're happy with the track, the cushion on the track. The track looks beautiful. It's probably the nicest I've seen it for a long time. So, no, I'm hoping it runs well because they've come a long way.
Okay, we mentioned before in the previous segment that the John Moore trained runners haven't really done a heap at track work. Dan excels in that same category, but he's been a little bit difficult for his track rider on a number of occasions this week.
I think you're probably understating it. I wouldn't want to be riding him all week because his tail's been swishing and he's not interested at all. So it'll be interesting to see how he runs. He's drawn one. He's a pace influence in the race. He led them up last year, and as we all know, this race is you want to be on the pace going around that bend, and so he'll be there at the end if he's anywhere near, obviously, like last year.
Well, the horse that beat him last year is also his stablemate in Military Attack. Quiet time for him at track work on Thursday. We were expecting him to gallop, but he didn't. It was the same sort of work that he's produced on both Tuesday and Wednesday. Can he go back-to-back, Larry?
Well, anyone that saw his win last year would be hard-pressed to pick against him. And the fact that he got beaten in Hong Kong recently just by a very nice horse in Designs of Rome. Joe arrives today, back in Singapore, so no doubt it'll be short Military Attack. I think he's done enough. I mean, you wouldn't if you didn't see him win last year, you probably wouldn't pick him on the work he's done this time. But John Moore knows what he's doing, and the horse looks well enough in himself.
I think you'd even pick him off his Hong Kong form, and I thought he had excuses in Dubai. The Tapeta surface probably didn't suit him, and nor did he didn't really get a clear crack at them in the straight.
He's
either.
the best horse in the race, full stop. I mean, just on ratings, he's the best horse in the race. His form's as good as last year's, if not better. That was John Moore's first international win last year. I think he's grown a leg as far as, and so I think the horses are very hard to beat.
Marav Kalok, this is his track work here. He hasn't really been too stretched in his track work. He's more or less just cantered along that back track, track 7 through the week. From the reports on Wednesday, if Damien Oliver, who arrives today, wants to have a ride, then they might have him canter again for Damien on Friday, but this is more or less what they've had in store for him.
Yeah, well, much travelled. He had a little stint in Australia, which was good to see, and he picked up enough probably prize money there. I think he ran a third. And the Spring Carnival was a tough little...
placed in an Emirates or fourth in an Emirates Stakes. He contested a Cox Plate. I think he was placed in a listed 1800 metre race at Flemington on Cup Day. So he did enough in Australia. He didn't have a heap of luck in Dubai, Larry. Ran a really good race here last year.
Yeah, I think as good as he could have, considering just the talent that was here last year, etc. So there's no reason why he can't do that again, but I still think he's probably just that length or two behind the good ones.
Okay, I tend to agree. Side glance, well, he's a Group 1 winner in Australia. We mentioned Marav Kalok running down under. Side glance, I thought, provided us with the highlight of morning track work today, Larry.
Yep, some nice quick work down the grass there, but the fact that the Melbourne form, Spencer rode at that occasion, that was the McKinnon, which is a nice race. There was only 9 in it last year, Edward. A smallish field compared to previous years. But this is the work you're talking about. And this was certainly had a few people grabbing their cameras and jotting in their notebooks, a few Twitters,
Yes.
tweets.
I thought his work was quite good this morning. 34.4, clocked by yours truly. So just hope that's accurate enough. But his work did look quite strong. The team quite happy with it. His runs in Dubai have been very good. Looks like he set it in well enough, and that'll be his final serious hit out, you'd imagine, leading into Sunday's assignment. The French have got Smoking Sun, Larry.
Yeah, there's a bit of a whisper around, not so much a whisper about the horse on track work. He's just having a look around. But the fact that his form, there's some really nice form around him. So I've got people at the track having a second look at Smoking Sun. And he's certainly done enough, and at the track, he's looked happy.
He looked a little bit cantankerous in his track work on Tuesday.
So was I that Tuesday. I just arrived. Yes, it was.
It's not easy when you've just got here.
Yeah.
But his track work Wednesday, Thursday, at least he looks a little bit more settled. Smoking Sun. You mentioned his form. He's got form around Cirrus des Aigles, Treve, those sort of horses. He's a sort of horse too, just looking at his last couple of replays, Larry, that will appreciate a bit of speed in the race. And with a horse like Tokai Halo entered, here is Tokai Halo now. Should be genuine pace in this race.
Yeah, the barrier draw was interesting because this horse is drawn wide, but just inside Military Attack. So tactics early are going to be Joe Moreira's obviously probably use that Tokyo Halos to his advantage, the pace, and it'll be interesting to see if they all follow him in actually.
Tokai Halo did have a gallop here, Larry. Our producer was just a bit behind the 8 ball this morning, but clock 36.5. Track work watchers seem to be happy with what he produced.
Yeah, well, you can see the full gallop on CrangyRacing.com. So, but no, that was probably, you're talking about Side Glance this morning being the sort of the pick of the bunch. I thought this was just as good.
Okay.
And those that are interested in the Japanese horse, the best thing about him is, the Japanese travel well. He's going to go to the front or at least be handy, and if he gets any sort of soft lead, and Dan Excel will be interesting with that, but this is the horse to watch, I think.
Okay.
I think he's the main danger to the likely favourite in Military Attack.
Okay, big push there for Tokai Halo from Larry. We thank him very much for his contribution to today's show. Thank all our team for their super efforts in putting these 3 special shows together. That's it for Winning Workouts for the International Specials.